So after the background got removed, in order to remove the color, any colors that are left in my shoe, I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. So you'll probably remember this guy from last year, like the hue saturation. It's not going to give us much, but it will kind of change the tones of colors in the project. So it's getting kind of green, kind of blue. Okay. We'll set that back to 0. And if you take the saturation slider and you move it all the way to the gray, this is going to suck out all of the color from the project. So it's just like it. Photoshop is looking at it as a black and white image. And that's it. Just bringing it all the way down and pressing OK. Trivial, but like later when we apply the color, it will like make a lot more sense. Do you remember how we move something from this screen into like the prior document we had before? Yeah, you're just going to drag it with that move tool at the top. Come on. There we go. Drag, 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 not letting go, and I'm going to drop it like that. Okay, so let me delete some of the other stuff I have here. And to resize it, to go into that transform mode, what do we use to resize something? Perfect. Control T. So I was on the wrong layer. So let me try that again. Control T. There's my blue box. Size can be a little hinky. Just try and give yourself some space between the middle and the edge. The nice part is once we have all 12 pieces, if you feel like it's too small or they're hanging off the page, we can still edit them like all together as one big piece. I'll hit enter because I'm happy with that. Okay. So here's the part that we don't know a lot about, like rotating. What's up, Zoe? We should. I'll come over. You're going to want to do it. It's easier in the other screen to have it done there and do your edits there. So that way you could just rotate this. All right, I'll come over and I'll help you find it. Okay. So our plan now is that we need to make 12, 11 more of my shoe, and we need to rotate it at a certain angle. Please don't try and do it by hand because like you're not going to get like that nice equality. So if I need to make another layer, like a duplicated version of my shoe, what do I need to right click and click here? Duplicate layer. Thank you. Appreciate it. I just press OK. And it's going to sit right on top right now. So you can't see it, but it's right on top. Now we're going to rotate it. So we're going to go to Edit, Transform, Rotate. Now there's a billion numbers up here, but there's a little angle sign. It kind of looks like the plus the greater than equal to sign. And you're just going to change it to 30 and hit a check mark. So you can see that it like rotated it a little bit. And there you go. So I'm actually just going to keep doing that process and like duplicating the last one I rotated. So that's this layer at the top. Duplicate it again. Edit. Transform. Rotate. And you're just going to do 30 again. That way you don't have to remember like how much. It's a lot easier that way. Okay. And what I like a good marker of like setting it up. Duplicate. Edit. Transform. Rotate. So when I do another 30, like the fourth time, I should be like at a right angle here. Okay. So it's coming together. We're going to keep doing that till we fill up like our 12. And then there's like another step because you'll notice the top one kind of sits on top. So that takes a little bit more editing. But for now, we're going to shoot to get our 12 objects ready to go. When you have all of them done, and you could even select all of your layers later and like scooch them around, resize them. So if you'd like to adjust all of your layers at the same time, we'll hold down our Shift key. So that way I could select all of them, and I could even Control T. I could say, hey, let me enlarge all of these, or let me shrink them down a little bit. You have some options with that. But you don't really have to do that so you have all 12. Any questions so far? Okay, I'll make a little typed list for you too, so you have it, and that way we don't forget the steps. What's up, Hannah? Sure, no problem. Okay, so number one, at this point we should have our 12 parts, and it's kind of like a clock-ish at this point, like a 12 o'clock, a 3 o'clock, a 6 o'clock, and a 9 o'clock. You're trying to make it as equal as you can. Like I had said before, you could select every single layer by holding down Shift, and you could use Control T if you wanted to like resize it overall, if you need to. So you could do that if you need it. Also, it may be a little like tricky to just view at this point. So if you go to your bottom layer, which is most likely blank, and you want to use your paint bucket and make it black so you could see it, because I know like it's getting kind of exhausting to look at. You're welcome to do that if it makes it easier for you. We can always change it later. It's no big deal. So that's number one, just an option for you if you want it. Last thing we want to do at this point is kind of adjust our overlaps. So if your pieces overlap a little bit each time, like my shoes do, you'll notice the last one doesn't overlap correctly. It just sort of sits on top. So if you look at like the top of the heel area, that part's always hidden as I rotate my shoe for the most part. But on my last one over here, you'll notice it's over here. That part isn't hidden. So I need to find what layer that is. So I like to use my little move tool at the top. And if I just right click on the shoe, it's going to tell me which layer it is. Layer one's probably my black. And this here, the copy, is going to be that exact shoe. So I'll click that little eyeball to confirm like, oh, that's the shoe I want to edit. Then what I do is I zoom in a lot and I erase it manually. I think it's the easiest way. So if you want to adjust like your eraser tip, there's a cajillion here. I would use a hard eraser. And I go in on the top and I just literally erase the heel area as best I can like that. So that way it's sitting underneath. If you don't like it, like I'm going to adjust it a little bit again. You can erase as needed and use your history panel if you mess something up like I just did there. So that way it's just tucked underneath just a tad. That's really all you're going to need to do. There's not too much that has to be involved. Some people will even duplicate a layer if you feel like something isn't sticking out the right way. But otherwise, everything looks pretty good. We can keep it nice and simple. Okay. Next time, we'll talk about adding the color, and that's pretty fast. It shouldn't take us too long. So it'll be like one more period. We'll work on it. Okay. I just found which layer it was on. You could use the eyeball, or you could like right click on the layer and figure out, it will list what layer it is. And then I just use the eraser to erase the part that should be tucked underneath. So the little top of the heel was the part that should have been tucked underneath, so I erased it. That's it.